Hello, dear ones. We'd like to begin today by chanting together with you, if you feel to join us. This chant is written by Yogananda, and it's called Listen, Listen, Listen to My Heart Song.
And as we chant this today, let's feel that God is saying this to us. These are His words to us. Listen, listen, listen
to my heart song. Listen, listen, listen to my heart song. I will never forget thee. I will never forsake thee. I will never forget thee. I will never forsake thee. Listen, listen, listen to my heart song. Listen, listen, listen to my heart song. I will never forget thee. I will never forsake thee. I will never forget thee. I will never forsake thee. Listen, listen, listen to my heart song. Listen, listen, listen to my heart song. I will never forget thee. I will never forsake thee. I will never forget thee. I will never forsake thee. Listen, listen, listen to my heart song. Listen, listen, listen to my heart song. I will never forget thee. I will never forsake thee. I will never forget thee. I will never forsake thee. Listen, listen, listen to my heart song. Listen, listen, listen to my heart song. I will never forget thee. I will never forsake thee. I will never forget thee. I will never forsake thee.
I will
Never forget thee. I will never forsake thee. I will never forget thee. I will never forsake thee.
The heart song, when God is saying to us in this chant, listen to my heart song. He's saying and urging us to listen to the voice of our hearts, to develop intuition, which is what we need at this time more than anything. We need to be able to hear inner guidance that's coming from our higher self, so that we know what to do, when to do it, and we can trust that God is with us. God is always singing to us through that heart song of intuition. The Indian teachings, the scriptures that we study, we've often been reminded of one of the phrases from the scriptures that says, life is always unstable and uncertain, like a drop of water on a lotus leaf. And that can seem a little scary, but if we stay in that center of our heart song, there's nothing to fear. Another aspect of that is living in the now and living in trust and surrender to God's will. As the Bible says, God's will for us is always good. If we live in gratitude for the moment, then we are safe in God's love.
Segueing onto that, I'd like to share a story, but before I tell the story, I'll sort of tell why I'm telling the story. When we focus on the now, as Nirmala is suggesting, we can potentially lose sight of the bigger picture. This is perhaps one of the main reasons for the so-called battle of the sexes. We have the masculine long view, and we have the feminine view of right now. The house is dirty, let's clean it up. Let's talk about our relationship. Let's work on whatever it is that's needed right now. And both of these are entirely relevant. Both are entirely necessary. But focusing on now doesn't necessarily mean focusing on this minute. It means focusing on the present, which is eternal. So the little story I want to share is a moment in time that happened to both of us. We were driving with Swami Kriyananda in the countryside in Italy in a pounding rainstorm. And I happened to be driving the car. Swamiji was sitting next to me in the passenger seat. Nirmala and I believe Kirtani were in the back seat. And as I said, it was driving rain. And we were going along at maybe 40 or 50 miles an hour. And the windshield wiper right in front of me as the driver flew right over the top of the car, just as it was busy doing its urgently needed work. It just sailed right off. So I pulled over to the side of the road, tried to find it, couldn't find it. I managed in the rain to switch the passenger side windshield wiper over to the driver's side and get back in the car, sopping wet. Swamiji said, I know where the dealer is. We're not far from him and from that place. And so we went there. It was dark, by the way. It was night in the winter in Italy. And so we drove to that place just as he was getting ready to close. And you could sort of see the look in the owner's eye that, mama's cooking pasta at home and pasta waits for no man, and let's move this along, whatever it is. And Swamiji came in and greeted the man in a very friendly way. Of course, they remembered each other because Swamiji had bought his car from the man, and he had been in several times since then. And Swamiji explained the situation, and they had a car similar to the one we were driving there. It was a newer model, of course. And Swamiji said, well, maybe we could just take the windshield wiper from this one here in your showroom and put it on our car, and you could get another one and replace it, and we'll, of course, pay you for that. And the man, well, he really didn't want to think about this right now, and he really wanted to go home. And his first response was no. He thought we should just come back tomorrow when the service center was open, and of course they would have the wiper. And well, now that wasn't convenient for Swamiji. He had a class to teach in the morning and other programs and projects to do. So he, at a certain point, he sort of wandered away. And he asked me to come with him, and we walked over to some brochures along the side of the wall, and he picked one up, and he started leafing through it, and he said, Dharmadas, look at this now. Isn't this a nice van? This is what I have been telling Anand. We should get one of these vans for the center. It would be such a help. They could pick people up from the airport. They could go out on their tours, etc. I mean, he had a whole scheme worked out. And you could see the lights come on in Mr. Owner of this car dealership, because he realized that he was about to send a large van order out the door into the rain, and perhaps to a competitor, or to disappear entirely. And it was also doing the math, realizing that we were taking a long time there, even though it had probably only been 5 or 10 minutes maximum. And he said, well, why don't you just take this wiper and we'll just get another one tomorrow. It'll be fine. And why I tell this story is there are many levels to it, of course, but one of them is that for Swamiji now was not just about his own needs. It was not just about, this is what I need and you must do it for me. He could have, you think of all the endless possible human responses that would have been so natural. He could have put his foot down. He could have recalled the past. He could have said, look, I just bought a expensive car from you and it's, nice, et cetera, et cetera. He could have appealed to the you owe me train of thought, and he didn't. He just relaxed into the moment, saw the moment in reference to the long view, worked with them together, and helped to motivate this man. And as it happened, to be fair, the center did buy such a van from him and got good use out of it for many years. And so he was not speaking out of turn. Swamiji was affirming a reality that was not there yet, but he was not affirming it in a vaporware sense, in a fantasy world. He was affirming it with a real energy behind it, and I think that man picked that up. So in our lives, faced with uncertainty, faced with the exigencies of the moment, and trying to live in the moment, we can become caught in the urgency. And it's just helpful to relax in the heart and see that long view. And as Nirmala is saying, to really learn to listen in the heart, because truly, as she said, God's song is singing in our hearts all the time, but we need to learn to listen. So in these days, let us learn to listen to the song of the Divine Mother, the song of God, the song of grace that's always playing through our hearts and our lives. Namaste.